down by the Jersey Shore. I'm at my local gym, soaking up the sunshine post-cardio workout, and we're here to talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, baby. Defeating the Los Angeles Rams 33-26. A snatching victory from the jaws of defeat after an abysmal first half where I was on X/Twitter calling for Kevin Patullo's head like a lot of Eagles fans were. I even had some Eagles fans on my personal Facebook were like, look, they're calling for this guy's head. But guess what? We found a way through it. We got the W. If you excuse me one second, I'm just going to take a walk and switch views real quickly. When I step inside real quick, I'm going to mute my microphone because there's music blasting in the background. I don't want to risk a copyright strike, so bear with me 1 minute, folks. All right, folks. Now we're good. Just now I'm going to take a walk and talk to you guys about the game, man. But like I was saying, man, I would say it's one of the 3 best comebacks in Philadelphia Eagles history, really. It was. Like, you talk about years back against Washington with Randall Cunningham at RFK Stadium, this going back to the 80s. That was a big comeback. Miracle in the Meadowlands 2, when we were down 31-10. And now we were down 26-7 to the Los Angeles Rams at home. We came back, win that bad 33-26. And let me tell you, it was a nail biter, but it was worth it at the end. It was worth the journey. And we ended up taking care of business, getting the W. I mean, where do we begin? The first half. Let's just talk about the first half, get the negativity out the way. Then we'll talk about the positive. First half, we got a touchdown early, but outside of that, nothing was really going right. And then on defense, we were getting cooked. Devontae Adams burned us for a touchdown. You had the Rams offense was in sync. They were cooking. Williams was even having himself a pretty solid ground game. Stafford was in sync passing the ball. It was just all looking like shit early on. The Rams were absolutely dominating, and they were in cruise control against us. But then, second half, the offense started to get going, and just for some reason, everything clicked. For some reason, we went up after they gone up 26-7. Everything started to turn around, and where it really started to turn around. Shout out to I Am Carlo. He's an Eagles content creator. He does a lot of post-game recaps. He pointed out something very important too. And here's someone who isn't going to get credit. Thankfully, I Am Carlo gave him credit. And that's Fred Johnson. Once Fred Johnson stepped in the game and took over on the offensive line, everything started to change. The whole offense looked different. The offensive line was doing better. Hurts was getting time to throw. He was nailing A.J. Brown. He was seeing Smitty. He threw a couple touchdown passes. I mean, Saquon, to the Rams' credit, they did manage to shut down Saquon. Saquon's been a little slow to start off the season thus far. He hasn't really been on par with last season. He was kind of mid yesterday, so I'll give the Rams credit for shutting down Saquon. I was going to say, I don't know if it's the man curse, but that's another subject. But what did happen, though, let's put it back to the offense stepped up. Jalen Hurts did his thing. People were talking, ish about, he has no touchdown passes. He hasn't done anything. But guess what? Nobody's going to deny that Jalen Hurts had a good second half in this game for sure and played a key role in that victory. Nobody can take that away from him. He didn't have any interceptions, threw multiple touchdowns, and that's what you ask for of your quarterback. Especially in a situation where you need a comeback, you need the offense to step up. That's what Jalen Hurts did. Give him props where props is due. All right, I don't want to hear this discussion about where he ranks among the best quarterbacks. Regardless how you feel about the guy, he's a top 10 quarterback. If you don't think he's a top 5, he's at least a top 10, all right? And yesterday proved it. So shout out to Jalen Hurts for doing his thing. A.J. Brown got a few more receptions. The offense looked better in the second half. And to me, it really boils down to that one decision to put Fred Johnson in the game. I'm telling you, really, Fred Johnson was the difference maker for this team. Once you put Fred Johnson in the game, everything just changed after that. Everything changed. It all changed. Remember the first half, Fred Johnson wasn't in the game and we were struggling. That's when we only put up 7 points. We didn't get anything going. But then the second half, you put in Fred Johnson. But that also goes to show your team's only as good as your offensive line. You win games in the trenches, as my man Mitch Kofsky said yesterday on the Sunday morning show on the Hardcore Sports Network that I was on and with. And that's what happened there. Fred Johnson was the MVP on the offensive line for yesterday because really once he got going in the second half, things turned around. And I'm telling you, Sirianni, Kevin Patullo, start Fred Johnson. You got to start Fred Johnson next week. It's an obvious, just do it next week. And the defense, hey, second half, they stepped up when it mattered most. Yeah, the first half looked sluggish. I still got my concerns about that secondary. I don't trust them. Especially still going up against teams like Tampa or even teams like the Chargers who are pretty solid in the passing game so far this season. You know, who else we got on the schedule? Some other teams such as... Who is it? Other teams, you know, like we got the Packers later this year. We got the NFC North. So that's still a concern. That's something that we got to work on. And I'm not sold on Adoree Jackson either. But now as far as the defense goes, let's talk about the hero on the defense in the second half. I'll give you a hint. It's in the title of my stream. Mr. Jordan Davis. Or as I call him, Slim Jordan Davis. Because Jordan Davis, he came out of the draft. He came out of Georgia. He was a top prospect. He was going to be the guy that could wreak havoc in the middle for a defensive line, be a difference maker, force teams to plan around him. But through his first 3 seasons, he really wasn't like a huge difference maker. He had his flashes here and there, but he really wasn't that guy. Wasn't. But then guess what? Come second half, but then, now this offseason, he finally slimmed down, dropped down to 30 pounds, and now you see a big difference in his game. He's a lot quicker, he's more agile, more athletic, and it's showing now. Yesterday, he had 4 tackles, 2 block kicks, mind you. 2. Those 2 block kicks being a huge factor in winning the game, particularly the one on the final play, and he had a sack as well. Even last week, he had himself a pretty respectable game. That's something I admit I forgot to touch up on my recap last week, but it's here this week. Jordan Davis, my apologies. I'm making it up to you this week. Hell of a game, and he might be in contention for NFC Defensive Player of the Week, but we'll still have to look and wait and see. I'll have to still see about some of the other performances. But even then, he might get it, though. He might, because remember they gave J.J. McCarthy Week 1 NFC Offensive Player based on the second half, particularly the fourth quarter. So I think that one they kind of went with McCarthy because they're trying to increase his marketability. They might do that with Jordan Davis because remember he was one of the main prospects in that 2022 draft class. So they might go with him to try to boost his marketability, but we'll see about that one. But there is a possibility he might get NFC Defensive Player of the Week based on this performance, particularly that final block field goal because of how crucial the play was. It was 27-26. We're up. We're going against one of the most accurate kickers in the NFL going into this. Yes, we had 1 block kick earlier, but the odds of it happening twice are not all that high. And remember, it was only a 1-point game. There was a lot of nerves going into that of, okay, yeah, there was that feeling of, it may have been too little too late before the kick. I know I wasn't the only fan thinking it. A lot of you were probably thinking, all right, let's see what happens. We did come back to take the lead, but it might have been too little too late, depending on how this field goal goes. But then guess what? The kick went, all of a sudden, guess what? Second block kick, Jordan Davis scoops it up, runs 50 yards, the fastest we've seen Jordan Davis ever run. And guess what? Guess what? It's good enough for a touchdown. It is. It's good enough for a touchdown. It is. So, guess what? They have worked it, but guess what? It's staring off now. Jordan Davis has really slimmed down, and now you see it make a difference, man. His game. Jordan Davis would have never ran that fast last season, his sophomore season, or his rookie season. But this year, with him finally slimmed down, losing 30 pounds, he's more quicker, more agile. You see his performance starting to make a difference. And this could be Jordan Davis's year, potentially, if he keeps it going. It's still only week 3. There's still weeks 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and so on and so forth. We could be on the start of Jordan Davis's breakout right here. We could look back on this as the game where, hey, Jordan Davis still broke out. He still has standout year. But, man, Eagles, either way, we get the win. I mean, Kevin Patullo, I don't know what that was with the first half, bro. Maybe it's just that you needed Fred Johnson to come in. Maybe he was really more valuable than we give him credit for. Little G Griffith, what is up? What is up? How are you? Hope you're having a great Monday. That was a good game, man. I'll tell you. Bro, it was crazy. You know what was even crazier? As Eagles fans, we saw the Eagles come back. I mean, I actually missed the block kick in real time, unfortunately, because I was busy grabbing a snack. And when I came back, some of the people who was watching the game was like, you just missed it. We just scored the game winner. I'm like, wait, what? So then I watched the replay. I mean, I was hyped watching the replay. It was like I was watching that live. I'm like, yeah, let's go, let's go, let's go. Even though it was a replay and I already had the play spoiled beforehand. But some of the people in the room, I was still reacting like I was watching it in real time, folks. Even then, they're kind of looking at me. And people in the room like, okay, I'm like, hey, I couldn't help myself. I knew the play outcome ahead of time, but I still felt like I was watching in real time. They had no response to that comment, but still, it was fun to watch. That was just that moment right there was the highlight of the game. And remember something, folks. In football and in life, it's not about how you start. It's all about how you finish. Screw the start. It's the finish, folks. You could start off on a horrible note, but if you finish strong, that's all that matters. And that's what the Eagles did yesterday. Now, as far as you go, Little G Griffith, Tampa Bay, I would love to see that, but here's the challenge. We got to play Tampa in the warm weather over in Florida, and that's not exactly the most favorable location for us to be playing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We've often seen before it doesn't really work out that great for us over there in Florida, but here's the deal. Here's the deal. We'll worry about that later. There's always a time to ride a curse. There's always some way to overcome something, but hey, we took care of business. We did what we had to do. We find a way to win. But also, yeah, we can knock them for the first half, but Eagles, we ain't even warmed up yet. And we're undefeated. Go Birds, we're repeating. That's right, Elvis. I love the energy. I love that energy right there of that. Hey, look. Yeah, we're in the early stages of the season. We're just getting started. I mean, Chris Long, I was listening to one of his interviews. He said during that season, New England, Belichick told him, the football season doesn't really start till around Halloween. So yeah, I would say, so yeah, going off what you said about we just getting warmed up, hell yeah, we ain't even close to Halloween yet. Once we get to around, say, Halloween time, yeah, that's when we'll really be warmed up, baby. That's when we'll be warmed up. So, yeah, I'm telling you. Brother, I was at the game. It was crazy. Loved it. I know. Yeah, I bet you. Oh, I bet you it was a lot of fun, man. Yeah, I'm happy you enjoyed it, but I'm on the low, kind of jealous. On the low, but I'm still kind of happy you enjoyed yourself, bro. Because I bet you, oh yeah, I bet you it was an electric atmosphere. But I bet you it wasn't a lot of smiles during the first half. But hey, you know what? It's like I said, it's not about how you start in football or life. It's all about how you finish. Last year was the perfect example. We were 2-2 through week 4, but guess what? Everything turned around immediately after that. And then yeah, but we true fans, we believed. That's right, yep. Hey, and like fellow YouTuber of mine, Blazed Radio says, who I partnered with on some basketball podcasts, your true test of your fandom is how you, whether you stick by your team during the down times. And for us as Eagles fans that stuck with the Eagles, for those of you that are maybe middle-age range that stuck with them during the late 90s, during the down times, that stuck with them the last couple of years of the Andy Reid era, the transition from Peterson to Sirianni, the 2023 collapse, those are examples of test of fandom. For those that stayed true to the team, that kept rocking those colors, or another one, even during the Chip Kelly debacle in 2015, those of us that kept repping the Eagles, wearing those Eagles jackets, even after that, those are the true fans right there. I remember that. I remember repping those Eagles jackets, man. I remember after that Chip Kelly season, I know this is kind of off subject, but we was going to hang out with some friend. We were going to play basketball indoors during the winter, right? This was right after that 7-9 season where Kelly got fired for the final game. I was wearing the Eagles jersey, and the one person I was playing ball with was a Bengals fan, and he was giving me a ride to the court, and he said, "Oh, I see you still repping the Eagles." Even when they were in downtimes. But like I said, Elvis, that's the true test of fandom right there. And that's what makes the good times sweeter. That's what makes the 2 Super Bowl wins that much sweeter. Sticking to it. Being proud of the team. Even when we lost the Super Bowl. Even when I was disappointed at Super Bowl 57, I was still proud of them for making it that far. That's the true test of fandom right there. But like you said, we do, for real. I'm from 1965 and a season ticket holder since 1985. $7 a game. Oh my God, dude. If you discover a time machine, let me know about it, bro. I would love to go back to that time where it was only $7 for a game. Shame it was only 18. Shame I wasn't born in 85 yet, but man, if you find a time machine, let me know. I want to go. But on a serious note, that just goes to show you how greedy sports owners have gotten with ticket sales. On a serious note, because it's ridiculous, these prices for games. Seriously. It's just ridiculous. But man, hey, some people stay loyal. But man, 700 level, no place like it. Oh my God. Yeah, that's an entire, you're talking about an entirely different era of Eagles football and the Eagles fans. I mean, times have changed since then. For sure. Times have drastically changed. I think somewhat for better, some for worse, but I mean, hey. But at the end of the day, the good thing is, this is the best era of the Eagles football. This easily is. This Howie Roseman era with him as GM is easily the best era of Eagles football. When you look at what we've accomplished in that era. 3 NFC Championship game appearances since Howie took over as GM. 2 Super Bowl wins. 3 Super Bowl appearances. And it's easily the best era of Eagles football. Even with some of the downs in the Howie Roseman era, we always got, just like a fictional Philadelphia boxer, we always got up, we kept fighting until the final bell, and we conquered in the end. So that's what makes the Philadelphia Eagles, that's what makes Philadelphia so special. It's that resilience right there. No doubt. Oh yeah, 1940s, right? That early NFL championship era, where we had the Steve Van Buren, Chuck Bednarik. What was this? Greasy Neal was the head coach. That era, yep. I remember hearing a little bit about that on the. It was an Eagles fan. What was it? It was the history of the Philadelphia Eagles from 1933 to 2004. It was. It was released in the 2004 offseason after the first season at the Link. I remember seeing a little bit about that on that documentary, watching it with my dad. So I've become a little bit acquainted with them. I heard about the Cohericks, the McCormicks, the Kayaks, in the years in between 1960 till Vermeil came, which, lucky thing I didn't get to relive it in real time, dude. My family played for the Frankfurt Yellow Jackets. Oh yeah. Oh, you're going way back, man. You're going back nearly a century. Those early years. This was when football was still basically in the Raids of Ray. What's his name? Fuck, I can't remember his last name. You guys think I know you're talking about the Eagles writer? He basically described football as a backlot sport or something, meaning it wasn't that huge at the time. But hey, that goes to show you how far both the Eagles and the game of football in the United States have come since. They've both come a long, long, long way. But hey, man, nice talking. But hey, I'm sure it's fun. It's nice talking about some nostalgia. But it's also the good part is we get to reflect on how far the Eagles have come since. I mean, it's been a roller coaster ride, just like, well, any sports organization really is going to have a roller coaster ride through their history, whether it be the Eagles, whether it be, hey, the Steelers, the Packers, whoever, whether you're switching sports and talk about like the Phillies or the Sixers, or any sports team is going to have a roller coaster history. You're going to have your ups and your downs, kind of just like life. Life and sports are kind of like a roller coaster. You have your ups and your downs. You go up and you go down. You go up and you go down. Elvis, appreciate the subscription, bro. Glad you enjoying this. Thank you for rocking with me. And since it's your first time doing this, just to give you a heads up, every Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I have a show called the 3-Point Blitz. That show is where I discuss both football and basketball. Mainly, this time of year, I'm mainly going to be talking football. So if you want to get my thoughts on, hearing me talk more about football, about the rest of the league and the rest of the games, you can catch me live 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time tomorrow. I'm from the Jersey Shore, Brigantine, which is right outside Atlantic City, Atlantic County. This is actually right outside my gym. Gym's part of a strip mall upstairs. That's where I started the stream. So I'm just hanging out right now doing this, multitasking, getting my vitamin C of fresh air, and chatting with you guys about football, baby. I mean, yeah, so if you're curious, it's kind of a quiet, around this time of year, it's a real quiet area. Atlantic City, on the other hand, is a little more crazy, a little more upbeat. Originally from Frankfurt, now Chase. Where's that up? More by Philly at? What's... Northeast Philly, I got you. In Northeast Philly. Yeah, But the best part about YouTube, man, is I get a lot. Our two favorite teams are the Birds, whoever plays Dallas. Oh, I'm actually glad, and I'm glad you brought that up because I was thinking about saying something about that too. So I'm gonna shoot the shit, so to say. So here we go. After we watch the Eagles beat the Cowboys. Or sorry, the Eagles beat the Rams, excuse me. Then we had the Cowboys versus the Bears. I'm going into this thinking the Cowboys are going to win it. I just feel, I mean, I wanted the Bears to win, but I was kind of thinking, yeah, Cowboys are probably going to win, but then the game happened. No Trayvon Diggs. You saw that Cowboys secondary get burnt. Capital B, capital U, capital R, capital N, capital T, burnt. Like toast. Burnt like white toast, baby. Or more, no, burnt like wheat toast. They Cowboys were burnt like wheat toast that sat too long in the toaster. And that's what the Dallas Cowboys defense was. Burnt like wheat toast. Caleb Williams had himself a game. And I'm thinking about him like, there's a part of me wondering if this is going to be where finally Caleb Williams gets used to Ben Johnson, starts to catch on. But then again, at the same time, I think this is more about the Cowboys defense than it does anything else. Nothing like the bounty bowl at the vet. Oh my gosh. That dude. You're gonna have to fill me in on that one, because that's more your area of expertise. Okay, we're good. Oh, I lost connection for just a second, but we're back. But yeah. Oh yeah, body bag game. I heard about that one, dude. But we're talking two completely different games. Yesterday was just the Dallas Cowboys just didn't know what they were doing out there. Dude, and even now you start to see, kind of getting through week 3, we're kind of seeing what the Cowboys really are. And that's a struggling team that had its window of opportunity when they had the talented players, but couldn't close the deal. And now, you start to see how valuable Micah Parsons was to that Cowboys. You look at what's happening with the Green Bay Packers defense. Even with their ugly offensive performance in that loss to Cleveland, which they shouldn't have lost, the defense still did its job. They did its job shutting down the Commanders. They kept the Lions in check. You see how Micah Parsons has made a difference there. You see, without him on the Cowboys, how much of a difference it makes. Yeah, exactly. Trust me. As Eagles fans, we both speak for Eagles fans when we say, we want, I emphasize again, we want Jerry Jones to stay as long as possible. Because no matter what, he always finds a way to piss off his stars, and the stars always leave. The stars always leave. They do. Always, one point or another, they always leave. So, yeah, you see, like, remember DeMarcus Ware? What'd he do? He went elsewhere, won a Super Bowl. We've seen that happened to Marcus Lawrence recently. Where'd he go? First to Seattle. Now their defense actually looks pretty solid. And then, guess what? Micah Parsons of the Packers, looking like a pretty solid unit out there. And then, of course, you got the Giants brawl. And while we're still on the subject of the Cowboys, the fact that the Cowboys even had that close a game against the freaking Giants speaks volumes about the incompetence and the stupidity of that team. It does. Exactly. That's amazing. Look at how horrible the Giants offense looked weeks 1 and week 3 against Washington and Kansas City. The fact that Russell Wilson was even even tease the possibility of a win for the Giants against the Cowboys says more now about the Cowboys defense without Parsons and without Lawrence and even without Eric Kendricks, who didn't have the best season in the world last year, but he was still pretty solid for their defense last year. And that's their three best defensive players outside of Trayvon Diggs not being there. And Trayvon Diggs was out with an injury, so that just makes it even worse. The fact that Caleb Williams, who hasn't lived up to the first round pick potential yet, had a great game against them, I'm saying it says more about the Cowboys defense. It would be fun to say that, oh, this is where Caleb Williams turns it around, but realistically, I think it has more to do with the Cowboys defense than it does Caleb Williams at this point. And we'll see as time goes along. Maybe Caleb proves me wrong, but as of now, it feels like it has more to do with the Cowboys defense than anything, especially after seeing the Giants in week 2 against that defense versus Kansas City week 3. I'm like, nah, homie, that says more about them. Says more about them. So, oh my god, yeah, but that was the icing on top of the cake for yesterday's versus Eagles fans. It was absolutely right, absolutely. Like I said, yeah, actually, this ties into what I said earlier in the stream. That man had no interceptions. He threw multiple touchdowns. He had himself a solid game. He actually had himself a good game. His best game of the season. I mean, for those of you that say stuff like, oh, and not talking you specifically, but for those of you out there, those Eagles fans that want to, y'all always look to talk about Hurts anytime he doesn't have a great statistical performance, because a lot of y'all haters, y'all just looking to jump on the gun and trash the man any chance you get. But guess what? And I noticed this. I know who the haters are. Anytime it's like, well, Jalen Hurts hasn't thrown any touchdowns yet. Well, it's been mostly the defense. He's made plays with his feet. He's more of a running back. Anytime he doesn't throw touchdown passes, there's going to be those people that say that. That's who I know the haters are. And now, as typical of Jalen Hurts, anytime the haters get just a slight tease, what does he do? He proves them wrong. He shuts them up. And that's what Jalen Hurts did again. That's what he did. So yeah, Ben, but I just had to do something real quickly. I was blocking out a troll real quickly. I mean, I'm starting to notice that's the thing. You get these dumbass trolls come in here on these streams. But I'm not like, I'm just going to block them out, not say anything. They'll, the ones that talk about random stuff that's off subject, I'm blocking them out. I mean, he's just leaving these weird messages, so I just kind of blocked him out. I seen it earlier. I had one come in earlier in the stream, leaving random comments about food that's completely unrelated to football. So I blocked him, Elvis, because I noticed the trend when I do this. Sometimes it's the people that come in with completely off. They try to troll and talk about shit that's completely off subject, try to change the conversation, give themselves a sense of empowerment in the stream, which, yeah. So, yeah, man. So, wait a minute, like I said, bro. Sometimes they're funny. They're funny and add to the stream. They get the door. LOL. I mean, hey, it depends on what they're doing. Like, if they come in just completely off subject with some of the weirdest all subject comments, I don't even bother because that's completely off subject with the stream. I'm just going to be like, look, let's call it how it is. But man, hey, man, I think I pretty much said mostly what I wanted to say. Elvis, thanks for subscribing to me, bro. It was a pleasure chatting with you. Tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, I'll be live on my channel, for the 3-Point Blitz, where I'll be doing a recap of the Week 3 games, giving my thoughts on some of the other games, the big winners and losers from Week 3. So you can check me out tomorrow, 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Goes same for everyone else in the chat. That's going to be on my channel. If you sub up to the channel, hit the notification bell. You'll be notified when I go live tomorrow. So you can catch me either live in the chat or even catch me on the replay if you can't catch me live. Either way, your viewership will be greatly appreciated. Yeah, you take care too, Elvis. Have a great day. I'll do the same myself. I'll chat with you soon, brother. Take care, guys. Boy, Nicky Stees, signing off. Fly, Eagles, fly, and peace.